are some of the stories on this week's show.
The flu still has a grip, but there are signs it is slipping.
The resources are at our fingertips to help prevent veteran and military suicides.
And most veterans are likely to have a hiring fair in their area this year.
That and more on this week's VA News.
Hello, I'm Don Martin with the Office of the Medical Inspector.
And I'm Leah Mazar with the Veterans Benefits Administration. Thanks for tuning in today. The flu bug hit hard this year, taking the lives of more than 30 children, among others, and is taking a heavy toll on families and workplaces across the country. It hasn't been much better for VA and the veterans, and the season isn't over yet. Here's a report on what you can still do to protect against the flu.
Americans are in the midst of a long and tough flu season, according to the most recent reports from VA's Public Health Department.
The flu virus is very contagious, so it spreads very easily. People are infectious about 1 day prior to developing symptoms till about 5 to 7 days after they become symptomatic. And so during all this time, people can spread the flu.
The flu epidemic of 2013 has spread to more than 90% of the nation, with only California, Hawaii, Washington, D.C., and Mississippi reporting regional or sporadic local flu activity.
In terms of our national effort to prevent flu in both our veteran patients and in our staff, the people who work in our medical centers, the primary message that we're getting out is still get your flu vaccination if you have not already.
It's never too late to get the flu vaccine. Flu season actually starts in October and can run into March or April. It takes about 2 weeks for your immunity to kick in once you get the flu vaccine. So we usually recommend people start getting the vaccine as soon as vaccines are available.
Although there are reports of spot shortages throughout the country, flu vaccine is still available in most states at this time.
We were running low at one point, and we've been able to get more vaccine. And at this point, it looks like we'll have enough for everyone who wants one.
With this year's flu epidemic in full force, VA's Public Health Department is urging everyone at VA to take all of the necessary precautions to guard against the flu and prevent the spread.
And so one of the things that we encourage people to do after doing the flu vaccine is to also wash your hands frequently, so that if you get exposed to someone else who's coughed or sneezed, you can minimize spreading that virus to yourself. Cover your coughs. Use the crook of your arm. And the other thing that's really important is if you're sick, to really try to minimize being around other people.
So if you do find yourself coming down with the flu, doctors are urging that you stay at home. For VA News, I'm Dwayne Wingfield.
In 2012, the number of suicides in the U.S. military reached a record high of 349. That far exceeds the number of American combat deaths in Afghanistan, and new data indicates less combat does not translate to less stress. There is help for members of the military and veterans to deal with suicidal tendencies. Please educate yourself and reach out if you, a family member, or a friend need help. Here are some places to start. The VA Suicide Prevention page, the Army Suicide Prevention web page, the Air Force Suicide Prevention web page, the Marine Corps Suicide Prevention web page, the Coast Guard Suicide Prevention web page, Suicide Facts, what military families need to know to help loved ones who may be at risk, suicide.org and preventsuicide.net.
Remember last year's hugely successful Veterans Hiring Fair, Business Conference, and VA Open House held in Detroit? Well, the gears are in motion for another big year of helping veterans, separating service members, and their spouses find new jobs.
Just during the past 2 weeks, there were 12 hiring fairs. There are 6 this week, and so far, another 63 are scheduled all over the country between now and November. The fairs are under the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's banner, Hiring Our Heroes. VA and a number of public and private partners are joining in to reach as many of our nation's defenders as possible.
The U.S. Chamber also has a program to help military spouses find work and pursue their dreams by providing them networking, mentoring, and training opportunities.
VA is planning another big hiring fair in St. Louis in late summer. Like last year's hiring fair and business conference in Detroit, this year's will include all of the resources of VA and our partners to not only help veterans find and secure jobs, but to mentor and train them in the best practices for applying and interviewing for those jobs.
The current edition of The American Veteran looks at the VA award-winning show's Best Video in 2012. Here's one of the stories from that show.
Believe it or not, it was easier to think that I could lose my life and maybe even be remembered as some sort of hero that gave everything for his country. But I never imagined that it was possible that I could wake up one day and be a double amputee. I was going to school at University of Alabama in Birmingham when September 11th happened, and right then I knew what I was doing. We were going to go to war, and I needed to be part of it. I went straight to the recruiter, and I told him, I said, I don't need you to feed me any lines. I just need you to get me in. I told him I wanted to be airborne. I wanted to be infantry because according to my uncle, he's a Vietnam veteran. He said, you go airborne, you go infantry, you're going to be right up front. And next thing I know, basic training, jump school, then I was with the 101st.
You do this?
Today I was out here with Joe Ortega, who owns a rock climbing gym here in Birmingham, First Avenue Rocks.
I've been working with Noah. We've been taking all of this specialized rock climbing equipment and sort of fine-tuning and tweaking things so that he can operate all of this equipment with one hand.
It was really interesting to find out Joe's a veteran that was a medic in the Army, and his dad was in the 101st. So, you know, it was really nice.
Noah's an inspiration to me. A lot of times I have trouble keeping up with him. Honestly, I can treat him just like I'm treating any other client that I would be working with training on the mountain. He keeps up just as well. I'm teaching him exactly the same things that I would be teaching anybody who had full function of their body.
December 19th of 2005, we were in Yusufia, Mahmudiya area, southwest of Baghdad. I jumped in the driver's seat of the lead vehicle. We took 3 Humvees and we took off down the road, and it was at night. And at this point in Iraq in 2005, we would drive with our headlights off and night vision goggles on, so the enemy couldn't pick up your position as you were moving down the road. Well, with the night vision goggles, you can see a lot, but you can't see everything. And one thing I didn't see was a tripwire stretched across the road. And when my front tires hit it, it detonated a roadside bomb large enough that when it hit my door, it threw this 9,000-pound armored Humvee flying through the air, and it landed in a canal running adjacent to the water. And of course, none of that I remember. It knocked me unconscious. We landed wheels down, and water was up to my chest. I had a huge hole in my jaw, and he thought I was already dead. 5 days later, I woke up, you know, on Christmas morning at Walter Reed. Took a little time for me to kind of pull everything together and realize that, you know, I could overcome it, you know, with the help of my dad and so many others. And my whole family was there. I mean, my parents were there, my 3 sisters. That family support that I had was so important to my recovery. And that's really what got me through it. Yesterday, you know, was out at Lakeshore Foundation, which is in Homewood, Alabama, and it's one of 7 Olympic Paralympic training sites in the nation, and they specialize with the Paralympics. Being a veteran, I have a free membership there to work out and use the facility. Since I've been injured, with the help of other athletes and then taking time on my own just to get in the gym and figure things out, I've kind of mastered ways to work out even my left side of my body with my injury. So I don't miss anything. I don't let any muscles go without being worked.
So once you break that edge, you're no longer unstable.
I've got, you know, in a couple of months, Indonesia, going to climb a mountain, one of the 7 summits of the world. And if I complete it, I'll be the first guy missing arm and leg to ever do it.
It's an incredible feat to stand on top of a 14,000-foot tall peak by itself, but that he's able to do it with his prosthesis is just incredible, and I have no doubt that he'll make it.
I would tell another injured veteran, you got to set out to prove everyone wrong. You know, at first when you're in the hospital where everybody talks like, oh, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, whatever your heart desires, you can do it. But not everyone believes it, because once you start doing it, you'll see the reactions of surprise and shock of people, and it's worth every bit of it. So everything you do, you have to take it one step further.
The American Veteran can be found on the VA homepage, www.va.gov. Just click on Media Room, then Video. You can also watch it on the VA YouTube page, VA's Knowledge Network, the Content Distribution Network, and the Pentagon Channel.
Did you know? Secretary Shinseki did not attend any of the functions of President Obama's second inauguration, not the inauguration itself, the parade, or other festivities. The secretary was in a private, secure location because he was the designated successor if there had been a catastrophic event. All of the leaders who fall in the line of succession were either with the president or were not being nominated for a second term. The president asked, and Secretary Shinseki agreed to serve a second term at VA. That's all we have for this week. I'm Leah Mazar.
And I'm Don Martin. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all a good day and rest of your week.